Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to the 6-month continuing resolution, and it's deeply unfortunate that any CR is necessary. Once again, the Senate did not get its work done and failed to pass any of the appropriation bills off the floor. The House Republican majority wasted months writing bills loaded with extreme social policy that the American people do not want. And Republicans only passed half their bills. Why? Because they were so unpopular, their own conference wouldn't vote for them. Having failed to complete their work, Republicans now want to kick a can down the road for 6 months, wasting half the fiscal year and costing taxpayers billions of dollars. This CR, this long, would be irresponsible, and the Department of Defense has identified the consequences for our national security. This CR would have negative impacts on our military personnel and their families. It would not include the funds to cover a 4.5% pay raise. It would not fund the near $3 billion increase required by law for the basic housing allowance. It would not include funds needed to cover medical costs for military families and stabilize the military health care system. These services would not be able to offer new enlistment and re-enlistment bonuses. New program starts can't happen under a CR, harming innovation, delaying getting weapons and equipment to our personnel. Keeping major programs on time and on budget will be more difficult. A CR will delay multi-year procurement of platforms like heavy-lift helicopters and the Virginia-class submarines. It will prevent fully funding the Columbia-class submarine and will delay procurement on the B-21 Raider. And finally, the CR damages the readiness of the Joint Force. Some training exercises and operations, they just won't happen. The Navy will suffer a delay of 58 ship maintenance availabilities, limiting the work for our public and private shipyards. Air Force flying hours, weapon systems, sustainment, ground combat readiness, it'll all suffer. We just had a nearly 6-month CR in fiscal year 2024, which impacted DoD's ability to budget appropriately. The last thing we should do is compound this problem. And we also have the Fiscal Responsibility Act to consider. If all 12 appropriation bills are not enacted by the end of April, sequestration takes effect. And what does that mean? Across-the-board spending cuts, impacting everything, our national security, infrastructure, healthcare, and education. So, I believe strongly we should reject this legislation, pass a short-term CR, roll up our sleeves, and get back to work. With that, I yield back.